What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing today? I hope you're excited because today we're going to be going over the top 5 2024-25 Series 1 Young Guns. Yes, the checklist for 2024-25 Series 1 is finally out with the product releasing next week. So today we're going to discuss what I think are the top 5 Young Guns here in this crop. Now, keep in mind this list is for the top 5 Young Guns in this crop maybe 2 to 3 years down the road. Like, what Young Guns I think in this Young Gun set do I think are going to hold value over time? Some bigger names on release might have value quickly. A good example would be like Maurice Sider a couple of years ago, and then drop as time goes on because typically defensemen don't hold value long term. So keep that in mind when we go through this list. My list isn't the right list. I want to see your guys' top 5 Young Guns for this Series 1 crop down in the comments below. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys in the comments, so make sure you comment your list. Subscribe if you're new. Do videos like this all the time. Top 5 Young Gun videos, top 5 trending Young Guns video. If you like what you see here, please consider subscribing. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. It really helps me reach a wider audience. And yeah, without further ado, let's kick things off with number 5. All right, with number 5 here, it's actually hard for me to pick just 5 Young Guns for this video because I think this Young Gun crop is actually really deep. But for number 5, because of the market, I decided to go with Brad Lambert of the Winnipeg Jets. Brad Lambert, a former first round pick for the Jets, 30th overall. And with the Canadian market, I think Lambert has a chance to have some decent value a couple of years down the road. There's lots of guys you could probably interchange here with Lambert. Another one that didn't make this list, I would have loved to have like Maverick Bourque on here, for example. I'll go over some more honorable mentions later in the list as well. Leading up to the 2022 NHL draft, Lambert was actually considered to be a top 3 pick in that draft, but as the year went on, Lambert continued to fall down the rankings, and he's actually slid all the way to pick 30, where he was drafted by the Winnipeg Jets in the first round. I like the offensive upside with Lambert and the combination of the Canadian market. Now, the Winnipeg Jets card market isn't like terrific or anything, but it is a Canadian market, so they do typically have some value. Now, looking at his point totals, he only played one game last year where he had 1 assist, but 55 points in 64 AHL games in his first full AHL season. I think that's pretty impressive for a guy as young as he is. And he did get cut this year to start the season. He's going to start the season in the AHL, which I don't think is awful for him. Maybe it's bad for his cards. Like I said before, this 5th spot is really interchangeable with some other guys we'll mention a little later on, and I like the other 4 on this list a lot better. Up next at number 4, it's another first round pick. It's another card in another good market. It is going to be Frank Nazar or Nazar. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's Nazar of the Chicago Blackhawks, former first round pick to the Blackhawks. Now, of course, he's not going to be playing this season, but I think it's only a matter of time before they get him in that lineup and get him playing. I don't know if they'll play him alongside of Bedard because I think he is a natural center. One of the main reasons I like Nazar and why I'm looking for Blackhawks cards in general is because usually generational players have that other big superstar on their team with them that's kind of overshadowed by the Bedard, by the McDavid. Like if you look at Sidney Crosby, he's got Evgeny Malkin. You look at Connor McDavid, he's got Leon Draisaitl. You look at Nathan McKinnon, he's got Cale Makar. Now, a lot of the time, those players don't get the love they deserve if they were on their own team. But I'd argue that those players also make them better. Like Leon Draisaitl, yes, he would be one of the best players in the league still on a different team, but I think his point totals are inflated because he gets to play on the power play with McDavid. And I don't know if he'd score as much. Now, I'm aware that's a lot of pressure to put on Frank Nazar, comparing him to a guy like Leon Draisaitl. And let me get this straight. That is an absolute best case scenario. I don't think it's likely that he gets to like that superstar level. But if he does, if he is the number 2 center in this Chicago Blackhawks organization going forward into the future, I think that's a really valuable thing, and I think his cards would be worth a pretty good amount if that were to be the case. Up next, number 3 is, I think, the only guy on this list with actual NHL playoff experience. It's going to be Logan Sovn of the Dallas Stars. Now, I was really impressed with Sovn. The thing with the Dallas Stars, though, is the card market isn't the greatest, and they have a ton of good players coming up. Now, I was low on Wyatt Johnson heading into last season, mistakenly low, because guys like Jason Robertson aren't really worth a lot. Guys like Rupe Hintz aren't really worth a lot. And I think they're some of the better players in the league. It's just really hard to get attention in Dallas. But Wyatt Johnson exploded. It absolutely exceeded my expectations. I don't know if Logan Sovn is capable of that, but if he is, his cards could definitely be pretty solid. Now, I was very close at putting Logan Stankoven at number 2 just because of the NHL production he's already shown us. 14 points in 24 regular season games last year, as well as those playoff points, 8 points in 19 games to go along with it. And he really impressed me in the playoffs. The Dallas Stars, I think, are going to be right back in the mix again this year for the Stanley Cup. And if Logan Stankoven's a big part of that, he could have some good value jumps as early as this year, depending how much of a role he has in that Dallas Stars offense. Of course, you got guys like Wyatt Johnson, Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson, Jamie Benn. Whose spot is he taking on that top power play? I think he actually already has the spot on the top power play. I'd have to double check that. But they're just a really deep team in Dallas, so it's going to be tough for him to stand out. But if you can find a way to do it, like Wyatt Johnson did, his cards should have value. All right, up next on number 2 is what I consider to be the best goal scorer here in this young gun crop. It is going to be Cutter Gauthier of the Anaheim Ducks. Now, of course, originally drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, requests a trade out of Philadelphia, gets traded to Anaheim this past season in exchange for Jamie Drysdale. He plays his first game with Anaheim, and now he's a young gun card, and his young guns card is going to be on the Anaheim Ducks, and I think that's a huge plus for Cutter Gauthier. If his young gun card was on the Philadelphia Flyers, for example, they just don't have the same like fan value, I would say, like a guy like Kirby Dach, for example. His young guns is on the Chicago Blackhawks. If his young guns card was on the Montreal Canadiens, I think he'd be worth a lot more than he is. Now, the one downside with Cutter Gauthier's cards, I would say, would be the card market. The Anaheim Ducks do not have a very good card market, but if we're looking at 2 to 3 years down the line, I think the Anaheim Ducks are almost at the end of the rebuild. They got a ton of young talent coming up through the system, and I think they're going to be a real contender in like 2 to 3 years. And Cutter Gauthier is a goal scorer. Goal scorers sell in this hobby. If he could be in the Cup final, for example, let's say in 5 years, ripping it up, and he's their leading goal scorer, this card will definitely have some value. And right before we get into our number 1 spot, let's quickly go over some honorable mentions that just missed this list. Zach Bolduc, Jesper Wallstead, Brennan Othman, Gavin Brindley, Brady Nadeau, Zach Dean, Ethan Del Mastro, Josh Stone, Owen Zellweger, Joshua Waugh, and Liam Ogren all just missed this list. But yeah, without further ado, guys, at number 1, I wasn't going to do it. But after last night, I had to do it. Number 1 is going to be Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens. I say this all the time. Defensemen don't hold value in hockey cards typically unless they're a generational talent. And I'm recording this after the Leafs-Habs game. Lane Hudson, at such a young age, you notice when he's on the ice, he is an absolute difference maker, and he has Cale Makar upside. Now, I don't know if he reaches that level, but the fact that he even has a Cale Makar upside in a market like Montreal, I felt like he needed to be at number 1. Now, maybe that's my Habs bias. You guys will have to give me a reality check down in the comments below if you think I'm wrong. But I think he has upside to be one of the best offensive defensemen in the league, and on a team like Montreal, that is going to have a lot of card value. Now, he is a smaller defenseman, so if he is not able to put up offensive numbers in the NHL, it is quite possible that he's out of the league pretty quick. But from what I've seen so far in his young career, whenever he touches the puck, good things happen. That saucer pass he made in training camp, now I know it's training camp, that is legitimately one of the best passes I think I've ever seen. If you haven't seen the clip, definitely recommend checking out. But yeah, 2 games last year, 2 assists, 1 game so far this season, of course, against Toronto. I'm a big Lane Hudson fanboy, so let me know down in the comments below if I'm wrong. Should I have had Cutter Gauthier or Logan Stankoven over Lane Hudson? Because I did just move him to number 1 because of the market, because of what I've seen so far this season. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below your guys' list. Let me know how I am wrong. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please consider subscribing. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good one.